Hi, my name is Pawan Oberoi. I'm part of a small company based in the Bay Area in California. It's called Epiphany, and we are the people behind Whiteboard.chat. I wanted to thank all of you guys to um, come join us today, spend this valuable hour with us discussing Whiteboard.chat. If you have any questions during this presentation, I'd request you to please type them out on the Zoom chat, and one of my colleagues is going to interrupt me periodically and read those out.
Um,
Sorry, I'd request, if you guys are not talking, to please mute as well. So this is the agenda. We're going to give you a quick introduction to Whiteboard. We'll show you some of the features, most of the features of Whiteboard that we can in this time frame. We'll give you a chance to play with it live. So we'll give you a link so you can participate as a student with Whiteboard. And throughout the duration, you can ask questions and we'll try and our best to answer it. Where does Whiteboard.chat fit into this virtual class ecosystem? You can see that we are using that with Zoom today. You can easily use it with other communication tools like Microsoft Teams or Google Meet. It integrates really nicely with learning management systems as well. You can embed it in Canvas as an embedded app. You can use it with Google Classroom or Schoology, which I will show you in a bit as well. But primarily, Whiteboard.chat, where it shines, is in its engagement and observability part of the virtual class ecosystem, right? So this is the main crux of it. What we have tried to build is the ability for the teachers to observe each and every student in real time as they go through solving problems or doing their work, right? And comes with that is engagement, right? So what some of the teachers have told us is that some of the students have never been so engaged, even when they were in class, after they showed them that, hey, this is the teacher view, I can see you doing stuff live and where you're struggling, what you're doing well with, and I can help you on a one-on-one basis or in a small group basis. That increases the engagement overall. And that's what teachers told us. So we welcome feedback from you guys as well. But essentially, it's a way, if you really think about it, it's a way as if you're watching from a camera on top of each and every student's shoulder in real time, all the time, right? As they go through their work. Even if they're asynchronous, if they're doing it offline, you can still see how they're progressing through their work. And that is the thing that we are trying to achieve here. Even when you are in person in class, the teachers are in person in class, they can observe one or two students, but not the whole class like they can with Whiteboard. It's a growing platform, is growing at an exponential rate. I think the platform came out around in mid-August. It was built upon one of our Epiphany's main product, or our other product, if I should say now, is an enterprise play. What Whiteboard.chat came out of need because we saw COVID and we saw people struggling, and we pulled out parts of that product to make Whiteboard.chat. But it's growing like crazy. It's up to about 30,000 users per day. It's used around the world. Some of you are from, I recognize you from your names, but you're from different regions around the world. We get feedback continuously from teachers from all over the world, on our email, on our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group that is highly engaging. It's called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat. So if you are on Facebook and you like this platform, I would recommend you join us there. Teachers submit ideas, they submit their boards, they share their boards with co-teacher, other teachers on the group. They give us feedback, how to improve. We engage with the teachers there continuously. Same with our email, right? If you have any problems, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us. What we do here at Whiteboard.chat is we just listen to teachers, right? We get feedback and we see which one is more important from a teaching perspective based on what teachers tell us, and we just keep implementing those features. And that's how this platform is being built. And it every little feature we add makes life easier for people around the world. That is what we like, right? So please keep engaging with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or send us an email if you ever have an issue. That said, I'm going to jump into the platform. It's a web-based platform, so it works really well with Chrome. If you go to whiteboard.chat, it's a free platform. We don't intend to charge any money for educators for this platform ever, right? There's a privacy policy here on the bottom left. There's a terms of conditions. It's COPPA compliant. We do not uh, use any advertising. There's absolutely no getting any personal data for marketing purposes. The main thing to do is click the start drawing button. There are two modes. One is a collaboration mode where it's like a regular whiteboard where everybody ends up on the same board. They can draw and see what each other people are drawing, and you can erase other people's stuff as well. But this is the more interesting one, which we are going to focus on, where you can create, assign, and live teach individual student boards, right? Or you can make small group boards as well. And we are going to primarily focus on this mode today. So you just click this start teaching button. It'll take you to the whiteboard.chat where you can actually start drawing right away, right? If you have a pen, you can draw really easily. You can change colors by going to this bottom right corner. Kids like this a lot. If you change the color, the whole palette changes, right? You can change the thickness of the pen, right, very easily by using the slider here. You can change the opacity of the pen as well by and make it like a highlighter by clicking this other button here, right? You can type anywhere on the screen. There is no need to put input boxes. So you just position your mouse and use your keyboard and say what you need to. It'll type there. You can increase the size of the font by increasing the size of the brush, and then it'll type and just type again. It'll type bigger. So this is like the basic whiteboard functions, right, that people use. There's a whole bunch of tools on the left-hand side, which I will show you one by one. The easiest way is to click this top thing. It'll open up the slider so you can see what each tool does as well. But you can mouse over it as well and it'll show you a tooltip. So there's a basic object eraser built in so you can erase objects, obviously. Anytime you press escape, it'll take you back to your default tool, whatever you were using. Right? There is a bunch of tools which I will show you first. So there's a line tool with which you can draw lines. There's an arrow tool with which you can draw arrows, a circle, rectangle. There's a post-it note, right? So you can say, uh, type on the post-its, draw on the post-its. There's a rich text editor. So if you want to write longer instructions or you want the kids to write longer paragraphs, they can actually have a rich text editor um, built in, right? So they can, obviously all of these things that I'm doing, you can edit it again. So if you just double click it and say edit, you can edit it as well. But you can put it on the canvas. There is a infinite cloner built in. So all these things are requested by teachers. We didn't even know what an infinite cloner is, but so you can clone objects multiple times, right? There's a link. You can add external links. So you can create a button to say, hey, create a link to, for example, a external website. In this case, I'll just say Google, right? And it'll make a button on the web page, and the kids, when they click it, it'll just open it on a different tab, right? So it's super simple to create links or buttons on the whiteboard itself, right? There's a YouTube. So let me just clear this. It's getting, you can clear the whole board, right? So, and then you can say, you can embed a YouTube video right on the whiteboard as well. So if you have a YouTube video, for example, I have one from one of our favorite teachers, Jenna, who's teaching kids how to use whiteboard. You can embed that link here, and as soon as the kids join it, they will see the YouTube video right there on their whiteboard, right? There's a built-in compass which we recently added, so you can do make circles, you can do other stuff with it. There's a math editor which we recently added as well, so you can actually write complex math equations if you wanted to, and then like, and then you can, yeah, this is very interesting for teachers who are using math tools as well. So, and then you can put it here, you can edit it, of course. So there's a built-in math editor which you can write multiple math equations using LaTeX format. There's a help which shows you how to do that as well on the top. I will show you in a bit. There is a dice, built-in dice, so you can use that to play games with the kids. The kids can play them on their individual Go boards or group boards. These are programmable dice, so you can actually program the roles. You can say, hey, do 1 to 2, and then run 2 to 3, right? So you can pre-program it to give you different numbers from a teacher's perspective, right? So there's, I think I showed you most of the tools on this page already. So what I'll do now is that I'll show you how to prepare for a lesson. So I'll clear this board. If I have a multi-page PDF, I can easily upload that PDF by using this upload file button. So I click this, you say search for the multi-page PDF. And what Whiteboard.chat will do is that for each page in the PDF, it will create a page on Whiteboard. So this is page number 1 in the PDF. And then if I use this paging tool to go to page number 2, this becomes page number 2, right? And then you go to page number 3, and this becomes page number 3, right? So you have 3 pages of exercises for the student on the same board, right? And now I can invite students. So what I'll do is I'll go to this right-hand side. There's an invite button. You click that button. You have 3 ways to invite it. Either you can email them, you can use a QR code, you can read out the class code, or you can just use this link. This is the easiest. You can put this in your LMS or put it on Zoom chat or Google chat or whatever else have you. So what I'll do is I'll invite my colleagues to join me as students. And at the same time, I will open another browser window on the side so you can see what the student experience is going to be, right? So I use that link. I just pasted it in the URL, and this becomes a student. So if the student is logging or using the application for the first time, we do not need them to create an account. We'll just ask them for a name, right? So that they can be identified by the teacher. And this can be any name, right? So you can say student 1 is the name, and that's it, right? At that point, what happens is the student gets their own copy of the instructor board, right? And they can start doing their work on it. You can start annotating it. You can start typing on it. You can use various different tools, which I will show you on this on the worksheet that I just created. And from a teacher's perspective, the teacher has the ability to go into this grid view and see the whole class. So I'll change the size of the tiles a little bit so I can make it like a 2x2 grid. So you can see Sid is on the grid view, Praveen is doing something on the grid view, and the student is doing something else on the grid view. And it is live, right? So as you see them working, this thing gets updated live. It's all in real time, right? And as a teacher, you have the ability to zoom in a little bit and also join the board with the student, right? So now I'm on the student's board. You can see my mouse is moving on the right hand side. So now I'm collaborating with the student on their board on a one-on-one basis, right? So if somebody is struggling, you can go there and give them help, or you can give them, you can tell them you're doing a good job, right? And it'll end up on their board, right? Right? And once you're done, you can go back either to the grid view or go back to your board, right? I can continue saying, see, only the good job came on this student's board and the other students are continue doing their work. So for example, And the students also have the ability to raise their hand. So if they click this button, this hand button on here, like Praveen has done, and this student will do, you'll see that these are the two students who are requesting for help. And you can just click that and it will directly take you to the page on the board where the student is requesting for help, right? And then you can help them on a one-on-one basis. You can even give them a sticker. I'll show you all the widgets in a second, but you can give them a sticker, hey, good job, right? And that's it, right? So this is the basic functions of Whiteboard.chat, where you can watch the whole class, you can engage with the whole class, and the students never have the ability to erase what the teacher did on their site. It's they cannot erase this picture that I put in there. They cannot erase if I were to draw something on my board, right? So for example, if I could draw a star on my board, right, the students never have the ability to erase it. So they cannot change anything on their side. They can erase what they did, but they cannot change anything what the teacher did on uh, on the board. So I'll pause here for a second and see if there are questions before I move on.
Yeah, tons of questions, Pawan. So first one, how are the students able to use the infinite cloner?
So the students have the ability. So there are two ways. One is that they can clone objects that they draw. So if I, as a student, like this is the student board on the right hand side, right? So I can put like a math symbol, for example, right? And I want to use the infinite cloner for the symbol from my palette. I have access to the tools as well, right? So you can just use the infinite cloner to create um, copies of whatever I put. But there is another way which I will show you in a second, which is more where the teacher can create a palette for the student or a library for the student of objects, and they can use those to do the exercise, which I will show you in a second.
Okay. Does this work with Seesaw?
Yeah, so I've seen people use it with Seesaw where they embed the link from the invite into Seesaw, and the students can just click that and it opens in a new browser window.
Yeah, and the same question for Canvas. I think they can just paste the URL.
In the canvas, you can actually embed Whiteboard.chat in an iframe. Again, if you join our teachers told us how to do it. So you can embed it inside Canvas itself, so that students never need to leave the Canvas application to use Whiteboard.
Okay. There's a question about our students are not supposed to use their names in apps. Is there a way for them to sign in?
Yeah, so you can just make them use random names. So for example, this student's name is student one here. They can have any name as long as you can identify who the student is. The only purpose of the student entering a name is for the teacher to identify who that student is. That's it. We do not do anything with it.
Uh, can students use a video call or only chat? Can the teacher change the settings and remove video call?
So the video call is not available to the student. So if you see here, none of these tools are available to the student at all. If you completely want to disable video chat, there is another website we have created for a sub website we have created for some districts, which is called wb.whiteboard.chat. And that doesn't even have this option. So you can whitelist only that website.
Okay. And so I did answer this question about the recording of the webinar. So we will be sending out a link for this later on.
Thank you.
Sure. Would you consider the text size being able to be set before the students start typing in?
So the students can control the text size by changing the size of their brush here. So they can change it to a different size. If you're asking for a way for the teacher to pre-provision it, sure, we can. We love feature requests from teachers. We can add that fairly easily.
Is the question about? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to, I was able to erase something, but there are other things I cannot erase. So maybe I'm not sure about how to do that. I know you said you double click on something and you erase it. Okay, but okay, so let's see, there is one document that I inserted into the whiteboard, and I cannot get rid of it. So I don't know why.
So if you can, any of the pages that you have, any of the objects, there is an eraser. So if you actually right click and drag, it will erase the objects automatically. But for images that you have put, you cannot use that, right? So what you can just do is double click it and say delete, and it will delete the object for you. But so what we'll do is that we go through this webinar in an hour's time frame, and we stay 30 minutes past the hour to answer any specifics that you have. So you can show us your board, we can take a look and help you on a one-on-one basis. We'd be very happy to do that.
There's a question about how did you clear the whole board?
So there's a button here which says clear. If you hit that, you can clear the whole board. There's another way to clear all the boards for everybody. You can just go to the manage book and just say clear all pages. It will clear even the student pages. So you can continue using this thing again and again.
Yeah. How did you pull up the dice?
So it's in the tools. You go to the wrench icon, you can say show dice, and then the dice pops up.
Okay. Question about the math tools. How did you get the exponents and fractions?
So so there's a extensive help built in. So if I'll show you here, so you can go to help from here, and you can say math inputs guide, right? And this math input guide has how to use the math tool. So you can write, it's in the tools menu itself. So you can go to the tools menu and say click math, but you can do a lot of different stuff, right? It'll tell you how to type square roots, polynomials, you can do summations, integrals, all sorts of stuff with it. So it's quite powerful actually. So you can read through it. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer that as well. But it's super easy to get to. You just again click this 3 dots here, click help, and say math input guide.
Okay. How many students can be logged in at one time?
So on a given board, we support up to 100 students, but that's a soft number. If somebody wants more, we can add more. In a grid view, you can observe up to 20 students at a time, but you can do multiple pages of 20.
Okay. Is there a way for students to go back and look at the teacher's board and not see their own board anymore? The question was asked with the knowledge that they know how to lock the board, but if they just want to go and see the teacher's original board, then how do they do that?
So at this time, the teacher's objects and the student objects are merged together. So there is no way for you to see only the teacher's board at that stage, but the teacher can showcase their board if that's a need, right? So there is no way to show the boards next to each other. But again, if you want us to add it, it's super easy for us to add that feature in as well. But right now it's all real-time merging happening.
Okay. A question about the grid view. How did you change the configuration of the grid view?
So if you hit the grid view, there's a gear icon next to it. You can hit that gear icon and you can choose if you want like a 4x4 grid, you want a 4x5 grid, a 2x2 grid, or even a 1x1 or any rows, columns you can pick.
Okay. Can students see other students' boards?
No, so the students can never see each other's boards. So you can see they do not have access to the grid view, right? The teacher has the ability to showcase students, which I will show you in a second, or put students in a group. Then they can collaborate with each other and see each other's work. But otherwise, there is no way for the students to see each other's boards.
Okay. Would you recommend this for K1?
Yeah, a lot of even pre-kindergartners use this. I will show you some of the activities that they do with this board.
Okay, there's few questions I've kind of held on to. I think we can answer them probably once we get into a Q&A later on.
Okay, all right. So let's keep going. So then I'll show you some more features. There is this new feature we just added. I'll just stop video for a second on Zoom. So what students can do is that if you're doing handwriting work, right, using Trail notebooks, they can add a photo directly from their webcam. So you can take a photo. Again, a teacher requested this, but if you have if you're doing any work and you have to submit it, you can just add that to your whiteboard really easily. And as a teacher, you can actually see it on their whiteboard, right? You can see it from the student, and you can join it, and you can do corrections on it on the photo itself, right? You can annotate on top of the photo. So which is super powerful, even if people are doing work on a paper and pencil, right? That helps a lot. There are a bunch of different grids that we have added into the program. So we have a grid for just like basic maths. If you want to do graphing or you want to do area, right? There is a bigger grid if you want kids to write numbers or alphabets into it, right? There is a handwriting primary line grid. There is a music sheet even, right? So you can actually have symbols. Music teachers love this. You can go to this palette. This palette has a whole bunch of tools, right? There's a basic color picker here for younger kids. There is a math symbols for younger kids, right? I showed you some of them earlier, right? So you can do things of that nature. There is music symbols. So music teachers love this. I think there was a question from a music teacher: can we add more um, more rests? We can add them for sure, right? So there is music symbols, there's alphabets, uppercase, lowercase, magnetic alphabets, right? There is math manipulators. This is very popular. You have blocks like 100 blocks, 10 blocks, 1 blocks, right? A positive, x square. You have rulers built in, right? We have a protractor built in to measure angles. You can do different shapes. There's a 10 frame. You can do place value charts with place value disks. There's a whole number lines, different types of number lines, arches, so fraction tiles. So there's a whole bunch of manipulators in here, and it takes us like literally 10 minutes to add new things in here. So if you think there is something missing, and just send us an email, we'll just add it fairly easily on the same day for you. There are rewards built in, like I was showing you earlier. You have trophies, you have stickers to do well done. There is a chess board built in. Some teachers asked for it, where you can actually use chess or do puzzles, right? There are holiday themed things. There's right now it's Thanksgiving stuff, stickers built in. There's US currency built in. You have dollar bills, coins. Somebody asked for Canadian currency as well, which we will add. Somebody asked for Russian alphabet too yesterday, so we just added Russian alphabet in here as well, right?
Don, can you show how you opened up this panel again? I think that's
Yes.
Yeah, just click this palette thing and then hit this down arrow, and you'll see all of the different manipulators there.
I don't see the panel. I don't see what panel, because I see new polls, video call, invite.
You may have to scroll left. So if your window is too small, right, like this, it might be hidden on the left side.
Okay, I see. Let me see. Okay.
And then we recently added a widget, like a clock widget as well into this. So you can teach kids time with it, right? So if you were to pick this, you can, let me put it here, right? And then you can teach kids time. You can give them time assignment. This is again something that teachers requested for. So it's part of this thing as well. There's a built-in timer into Whiteboard.chat as well. So if you want to give a timed activity to the kids, you say, hey, I give you 5 minutes to do this work. And the timer starts on all the boards. And once it finishes, it'll sound a buzzer saying, hey, this activity is done. You have the ability to turn it off as well. All of the work that the teachers are doing and the students are doing gets saved automatically. So if you go to your so for example, I'll go back to my board. right? On the top it says where you are, so it's easy to orient yourself. So you can say this is my November 19th class, right? And then if I go to my manage boards, you can go to manage boards from here and just look for November 19th, right? So you'll see not only your board, but also all the kids' boards which are part of this class getting saved automatically, right? So all of the work is automatically getting saved, and you can go back to it at any given time, right? By clicking this. You also note that these boards do expire in 2 weeks, but you can extend the expiry by clicking this button by a month, right? So you can keep doing it forever. You can keep extending the thing forever. It just costs us money, so we don't want to save stuff unnecessarily, which nobody wants to, and that's why we have this ability to expire boards.
I want a few repeat questions. Maybe it's good to go over them again. Could you show how you took a picture of your notebook?
Yes, sure. So, oh, good thing I didn't turn on my camera. Okay, so on a student board or a teacher board, right? You can go to, for example, this camera icon. You can say add photo, right? And then it just pops up this window. It'll ask you, hey, I want your access to your webcam, and then click the take photo, and that's it, and save. That's it. It'll show up on your screen.
Number one, think of mine. That's what King
Sorry, I think somebody is talking, and I cannot tell who that is. Okay, never mind.
Okay, a question about the clock widget. Can the students also move the hands of the clock? Yes, maybe I can quickly answer that. The teacher can, so whoever places the clock on the board can change can move the hands on the board. So if the teacher places the clock and sets a particular time, then that clock will appear static to the students. But if the students place a clock to their board, they can then change the hands on it.
All right. So, okay. Any more questions, Sid, or should we keep going?
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I see the panel on the left, but is there another panel that I have to reach onto, or is it the only panel we have, the one on the left?
No, there's a palette on the right hand side. Here you see this.
Oh, okay. So next to the hand.
Yes, if you hit that, it'll open up this thing.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Thank you so much. All right, I got it. Thank you.
All right, so I'll show you another activity, couple of quick, oh, sorry, were there more questions there?
No, I think you should move on.
Okay, so, all right, so what we'll do is that I'll show you how teachers can create their own library of objects. So for example, if I want to, I'm teaching kids continents, right? So what we can do is that you can put an image of a continent on the palette. You can say, find me where is Asia, find me where is Africa, right? And find me the oceans. Oops. Right? By default, remember that the kids do not have ability to move or change any of this stuff. So if I go to a student's board, I can try to use the move tool. I don't have ability to do anything to these objects, right? But the teacher can set these objects such that the students can move this object, the student can move this object, and the students can clone this object, right? And then what happens is that when the student goes to those objects and uses the move tool, they have the ability to move Asia to the right place, and that becomes your library. They move Africa to the right place. And then oceans, because I set it to clone, it becomes an infinite cloner by itself, right? So I can put the oceans objects wherever I want. And teachers do this a lot with the manipulative. So they'll put like 100 block, a 10 block, and on the board itself and set it to clone. Or you can do it with words, with sentences, with letters, all of these different things. So you can create your own palettes. You can also put images, paste images from wherever using the snip tool. So if you have a dinosaur image, for example, you want to put in, You can just take the snip tool, take a picture, and paste it on the whiteboard as a teacher, right? So just press Command V on a Mac, Control V on a Windows machine, and you can paste that object there. And you can set it to so that students can clone it, right? And at that point, the student, when they go to their whiteboard, they can just pick that object and start cloning copies of it automatically.
A few questions, generally, Pawan, about how you prepared this board itself. How did you upload the map?
So I use the same upload thing. So you can upload files using this thing. You can either upload PDFs or any images or anything, JPEGs, PNGs using this tool, or you can paste them directly like I did with the dinosaur photo.
Yeah, people I think want to know how you've been cloning items. So maybe you can do that again.
So there are two ways to do it. One is you can use the infinite cloner. So if you just use this, you can use the infinite. Actually, there are three ways to do it. You can use the infinite cloner and it'll create object views, right? Copies of the objects. You can set an object, like let's say I want to create a new object, like something I draw. I can set it such that students can clone it. So I can double click it and say students can clone. And then the students have the ability to clone it. They don't need to do anything. They just use the move tool. And when they use the move tool, it will automatically create copies of that object for them, right? You can, I forgot to show you guys, but you can also animate stuff using for fun. Any of the objects you can animate. You can either rotate it, you can make it go around in circles, and just for fun. Kids like to do that when they're making greeting cards for Thanksgiving or whatever else, right? You can do that for multiple different objects actually on the board.
The question about how to start the classroom timer.
So you hit this clock on the top right, and you can say start timer, and you can specify the time that in minutes. Don't do the colon thing, just in minutes, and it will start the timer.
Okay. There's also a question about how long these boards are stored.
So by default, each board is, if you don't log in into the Whiteboard.chat using your Google credentials, it'll be stored for 3 days and it'll be deleted automatically. If the teacher has the ability to delete them on their own as well, by going to manage books, you can say delete forever, and then it'll delete it immediately. But you can extend the expiry, which I was showing you. If you're logged in, the default time is 2 weeks, but then you can keep extending it. You can do multiple different things from here. You can send a copy for this board to another teacher. So whatever you prepared, if you want to send it to a teacher, you can send a copy to them. You can publish to our community. We have started a small community play where teachers are publishing their work to the community. I'll show you how to get to that too. You can you can save a copy. So if you are teaching two sections, section A and section B, and you want to use the same material, you can save a copy and you will make copies in your board for you.
So one more question. Once I register for Whiteboard using my email and stuff, so I have a link, and this is that link that I always will have and can share with any student that I want to join the class.
That's right. So most teachers use a link for a class. They will use that link for the duration of the class, right? And if you are teaching 3 different classes, there'll be 3 different links, but that's what people do. Or some do lessons, right? So that's what they do.
A few questions, Pawan. Is the student's work automatically saved?
Yes. So if you go to the manage books, you can again see, I'll show you 2 things. You can go to this November 19th work that I was doing. You can see all of the work of the students is automatically getting saved, right? And you can go to their boards directly from here as well. Right? The students don't need an account. They don't need to log in, but their work still gets saved.
So I'm sorry to ask another questions, but if I have 6 classes, I will have 6 type of link for different class.
That's right. So you will create 6 copies of the same material, right? You can do save a copy 6 times, and it will make 6 different boards. So I can show you really quickly. If you hit this,
Yes, please.
if
Yes,
I
please.
hit this manage book and say save copy, I can say call this November 19th copy 2, right? And save it. Right now it will save it in here. And now if I say November, you can see so it'll still loading. So you can see there is another November 19th copy too, but it doesn't have any children under it because it was never used, right?
Yeah. So therefore, each class can have the same hyperlink, but I have different folders for each class, right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
You're right.
And that link is linked to my name under my link, my account.
That's right. When you go to
Okay.
manage books, you will see all the ports there.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll show you some more features. We are running a little short on time, and I'll give you time to play with the board as well. So what I will do is that first, let me show you a couple of features, which is quite interesting. Group boards. So you click this avatar menu, the menu where the names are, right? You hit that. You can do various things here. You can make somebody a co-teacher. So if you have a co-teacher, for example, the student is a co-teacher, I can hit this and it'll make them a co-teacher, right? And once they're a co-teacher, then they have access to the grid view. They can see everything that the teacher wants, can see, right? As well as if some kids raise their hands, they will get a notification as well, so that somebody is looking for help, and you can divide the work between the teacher and the co-teacher, right? You can turn off the co-teacher by here as well, right? You can showcase a student's work. So if you want, for example, Sid to talk about his work, right, you can just showcase their work, hit that button. You can see that now it's showcasing Sid's board. He can talk about what he's doing, right? And then you can see all of the work that Sid was doing, and you can turn it off. Then everybody goes back to their individual boards automatically, right? You can make you can lock the class. This is super interesting. If you're doing an assessment or if you're teaching something and you don't want the kids to doodle on their boards, you can lock it such that you as a teacher can draw, but the students cannot do anything. So for example, if you're doing a timed assessment after 15 minutes, you can lock it and then you can do the corrections in line, right, on the class, and the students still have access to their boards. They can go back at any time by hitting the same link, and it'll take them to their board and they can see the corrections right there, right? You have the ability to download the boards. So the teacher can download the whole class or just an individual board. The student can, of course, download only their board, right? And then they can submit it for assessment in Google Classroom as well. You can unlock the board by clicking that icon. You can create group boards, which is quite interesting. So if you want 2 or 3 kids to collaborate on a lesson, you can hit the group board. You can pick the student. So for example, I want Sid, Praveen, and student 1 to be part of the group. You can move them over to the right and you call them group blue, right? And once I do that, what happens is that you can see that now everybody is on this group blue board, right? And then everybody is drawing in different colors, right? So you can see they're drawing in, both of them are drawing in green, but I'm drawing in orange. And then if I, even on the group board, so 2 things, the teacher still can observe the group, because remember, this is not a view of the students' boards, is what the student is actively doing at that time, right? So you can see all 3 of the students are actually on the same blue board, right? And you can see them actively working, right? And then the students, even here, if they try to erase something, so I can drag it to bring up the eraser. I cannot erase other kids' work. I can never erase the teacher's work, but I can never erase other kids' work as well, right? So you can only, even if you clear the board, if I clear this, it will just clear the work that I did, not any of the other work, even on the group board, right? And as a teacher, then once the work is done, I can stop the group activity by clicking this trash icon, and the kids will be sent back to their individual boards. The group board is still saved. So if I were to go back to the manage boards, I can still see the group blue board that I just created, right? And then you can see the group blue board is still here. So I can, at any time, I have the ability to go back to it and showcase it to the other kids as well. Or you can go, yeah, so that's pretty easy to do as well. And you can pre-create these groups too. There are YouTube videos on our help, how you can pre-create the groups before students join as well. The last feature on this avatar board is this follow teacher. So what we learned from teachers was that sometimes kids were on a different page while they were teaching page number 1. So we enabled this feature where they're forced to follow the teacher. So if you're on page 1, the student is forced to be on page 1. If you go to page 2, the student is automatically taken to page 2. If you go to page 3 and so forth, right? So it forces them to follow you on each page as you go along.
So you find that tools where?
In the avatar menu. So if you click this avatar menu, you'll see all the tools all the way at the bottom.
Okay.
There's a one-to-many chat built in as well. So you can actually chat with the students. So if the teacher chats, the message is sent as a broadcast to all the kids, but with the kids chat, it only goes back to the teacher. Or if you are in a group setting, it'll go back to everybody in the group, but a copy is also sent to the teacher no matter where they are. So that's quite useful as well.
Pawan, a few questions queued up. Can you explain the poll feature?
Yeah, can we get to that in a bit, Sid? Is
Yes,
there
sure.
anything else?
Yes, so there's a question about the sharing of the links again. So one teacher has 7 classes, and can they use the same link?
So what most teachers do is, because the links are associated with the students, right? So the students come under the link, right, for each board. So they just create 7 different copies. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of kids under the same board. It's up to you how you want to do it. But even the grid view gets crowded, the class gets crowded if you use the same link for all 7 classes. So we recommend to have a different link per class at least.
Yeah, I don't think people have understood how you're opening up the avatar menu. So maybe just explain.
Yeah,
that.
so just what you do is that where you see these names, right, all these names and pictures, just click any of them and just opens up the avatar menu.
It's because we do not have any student in the joining the board, so the avatar are not there.
If you have even one teacher, you should see it, but maybe you have to scroll around a little bit, because you can pre-create groups, remember?
Okay, I see that. I see create groups, create chat, log class, or follow teachers. Yes. But you know what? I'm still not understanding for the link, because every time I open Whiteboard.chat, I have the same link coming up, and that's the one I'm sharing with different classes, because I'm a cluster teacher, and I go to different classes and I'm using the same link. But if there is a way to get one link specific to each class, that will be fine. But I don't know how to create the different link, or it's not a problem to use one link for every single class.
So how about we show you after the top of the hour? We can show you on a one-on-one basis how to create the link. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you before I give you guys access to thing is, this is quite popular, where you can create a bingo board. So if you have, there are several websites where you can create this special PDF where each page in the PDF is a different bingo tile, right? So this is a feelings bingo, right? So you can actually tell Whiteboard.chat, you can go to manage book and say upload bingo, right? It's a special kind of upload, because what it will do is that instead of creating one page for each page in the PDF, it will assign a random page out of the PDF to whoever joins it, right? So now you can see that it is uploading this PDF, the feelings bingo. And if I invite students by clicking the invite button and clicking it here, and then clicking invite the student, right, to the bingo board, you will see that they get a different page from the same thing, right? They got a completely different page. And as they are playing bingo on their boards, you can actually see from a teacher's perspective who's winning, who's doing what, who's struggling. And there's math bingo people play, there's word bingo, there's history bingo, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of bingos that you can play on this, right? And then you can see where to help people, help kids. So what I'll do is I'll post this on the this link, the invite link, onto the chat window in Zoom. So you can join as students and start playing with it while we answer more questions.
Yeah. So there's questions about the video feature as well as the poll part.
Okay. So so the poll is essentially a quick way to ask for a simple question. So for example, if I click this new poll button, you can pick the students that you want to poll. For example, I pick a couple of you guys, right? And then the student one. And then the question has to be entered in a particular format, right? It has to have a format which says, what color do you like? For example, blue or green, separated by a question mark and then a comma, right? So what this will do is it will create buttons on the kids' boards, right? I can send it to 3-4 people. And the buttons, when they click, so you can see what color do you want to pick. And when they click the button, you'll see the answer show up on this side, right? So that's it. And that's a very simple way to poll on a quick question amongst amongst students, right? And there is a built-in video conference system as well, video and audio conference. If you click this, it will launch it automatically as a teacher. But we recommend that it's not as good as Zoom and Google Meet, obviously, right? So we recommend that if you have those, you can use those, but you can use this as a backup if you ever have to use it. The one benefit that this thing has is that you can quickly jump if you create group boards, right? You can quickly jump between groups very easily versus leaving a Zoom meeting, coming back to a Zoom meeting, and then all of that is much easier if you use the inbuilt video conferencing.
Okay. A question whether this Whiteboard.chat is a mobile app.
It's not a mobile app, but it works okay-ish on mobile phones. Students do use it around the world on mobile phones, even with low bandwidth speeds.
Can you show again how students can take a photo of their hard copy work and post it on Whiteboard?
Yeah, so you just click. So you guys should see this icon on your boards as well, right? So go to page number 2 on whoever is asking for that question. Go to page number 2, click this. So you have to disable, if you have only one tool can use the camera at any given time. So if you're using it on Zoom, you have to stop the video on Zoom. But then you can just hit this camera button and then just put your picture in front of your webcam and click take photo and then click save. That's it.
Okay. Can the poll be prepared before students come in?
You can prepare the poll before the students come in, but sorry, you cannot prepare the poll before the students come in because you have to select the students who are part of the poll.
Okay. How do you get to the grid view again? Can you show that?
So the grid view is only available to the teacher or the co-teacher. Nobody else sees it because you don't want the students to see the activity that they are doing. But you can make anybody a co-teacher. So who asked the questions?
This was, let me see, Tanya. Yeah.
I don't know if they're on this thing. I don't see them. Yeah, but yeah, you can make anybody a co-teacher from here and then they will see the grid view. but only the teacher or the creator has the ability to see the grid view, nobody else.
Okay.
Do you want
Question
to show the
about,
co-join link as well?
No, it's okay. You keep going.
okay. So one of the teachers said she used the whiteboard today and ended the board, closed it, but the students could still write on theirs. Is there a way to sever the link?
So you can do two things. Either you can delete the board completely. So you can go to manage book and you can say delete forever. It'll delete the board completely. Or what most teachers do is after they do the work, they lock it. Right. So you can just say lock the class and then the students don't have the ability to write on it anymore.
Okay. There's a teacher who's using a drawing tablet and saying it's not easy. What advice do you have to make it
Wait
easier?
for this weekend. We found the problem. So
Yeah.
if you send us an email or put your email if you will be happy to be one of the testers of the new drawing, we'd be happy to have you try it out.
When the poll results are shown, can you minimize the results and or move it out of the way because it was getting in the way?
Yeah, so you can minimize it, but yeah, I think it's a little bit buggy. I just saw, so it keeps opening up again and again. You cannot move it around. You can move around this guy, the timer and the other notification you can move, but the poll you cannot. We can make it such that you can move the poll too.
Okay. Can you show how to rotate the graphics and words again, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. So if we go to so anything that you do, you use the select tool. There's a select tool here, right? One thing you will notice that when I draw, it draws on top of the kids too. So you can actually disable that. You can click that and say toggle replication to the students. So whatever I'm doing is not getting replicated to the student at that time. And then you can switch it back on and it will start replicating to the students in real time too. Right? But you can use the select tool, which is this finger, or you can double click if you're in the draw, and you can rotate objects using that thing. You can set it, you can clone it, set it to background, you can lock them, you can set them to students can clone or they can move, or you can animate it as well.
Pawan, can you show how to disable the replication again? I think someone missed it.
So there in this three button icon on the top right, you can click that. You can say toggle replication to the students. And when replication is disabled, you'll see this notification. And whatever I'm doing on my board, you see is not coming on the right? But if I enable replication again, this object will never make it there, right? But whatever you draw after that will start coming.
Okay. How do you open manage book to see your files? It is not a choice in the drop down menu.
So for the kids, they don't have it, but for the teachers, you have this option here. There are certain other things you can do, or maybe I'll show you that too. So in the gear icon here, you can do fairly other things. You can set the default tool for your session. You can change it from a brush to a move tool. You can set it to a select tool. You can set it such that only logged in users are allowed to enter. So for example, if you want only people who have credentials, Google credentials can log in. You can set the tools such that they are very simple or simple. So for very young kids, you can make the number of tools to just be 4, right? So that they can just use 4 tools on the whiteboard. You can do that. You can do a co-teacher invite from here as well. So if you want to do like a principal's observation, you just click this. You can send them this link directly and they'll end up as a co-teacher, is almost as if they're walking into the classroom and they don't want to disrupt the class and they can walk out at any time.
Okay. There's a teacher reporting that the only logged in users can join board option does not stay selected. Is this a glitch or am I doing something wrong?
If you can show us after this, we'd be happy to take a look. It should stay selected unless you unless you go between different managed boards, which some have it set, some don't have it set.
Okay. Is there a way to type our writing and not have it as a drawing?
Yeah, you can just take your type any, just use your mouse, click anywhere on the whiteboard and start typing. It'll type. You can also use this text tool, which is a little bit cumbersome, right? And put a text box there. But the simplest way is just type.
It's like a whiteboard.
Okay, I think we've there's lots of questions, so I'm trying to just make sure I haven't missed
Okay,
out
so
any.
I think we are done with what we wanted to show. Like I said, we'll be happy to stick around 30 more minutes to answer more questions, keep engaging with you guys. But please, if you like this tool and you have more suggestions, please tell us how to improve. We love to hear from teachers, right? And I'll post this video as well online. And if you follow us, we'll post the link on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in the afternoon today.
So where can we find the video? Are you emailing the presentation or you put it online? How
So we put it on YouTube, and then if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, we'll post a link there as well to this webinar.
Okay, so I will stay on because I have one question because I'm a special ed teacher.